Hello. Do you like violence or people hurting each other for sport? Well, if you answered yes, then this is the speech for you. Today I'm going to inform you, the audience, about the sport of rugby. Rugby is a great sport with rich history, and to fully understand it we need to explore that history, as well as its rules and regulations, and the various positions within the sport. The history of rugby dates back to the 6th through 15th century in Victorian England, when townsfolk would go to other towns and play against each other, and the whole purpose of the game was to move an inflated bladder from a cow or a pig from one side of the town to the other in a marked goal. There was no rules to this game, however, so oftentimes it just kind of looked like a concert where there's a beach ball and everyone's jumping up, hitting it around. So, when William Webb Ellis at rugby school in Warwickshire, England, decided to pick up the football and run with it instead of kick it, people thought that that was the creation of rugby. This happened in 1823. This fact, however, is highly debated by scholars, but according to the International Rugby Football Board, which is now known as World Rugby, they decided to name their World Rugby trophy after William Webb Ellis. And in 1845, they came together to write the official rules of rugby union. They decided to call it rugby union because there are various forms of rugby, such as rugby league and Australian football rules, which is a form of rugby, also known as footy. This new set of rules was so important in spreading the sport now because people could actually play and listen to the same rules instead of like changing customs that happened between English towns where they would see the game, pick it up, and make their own rules. But with the set rules, places like Ireland, Scotland, and New Zealand, and other places controlled by the British Empire, were able to experience this game. Now that you have a firm grasp on the history of rugby, we can start to learn the rules of the game. Lots of people want to say that it's a complicated game, but I'm going to try to make it simple. There's an offense and a defense. The game starts with a kickoff, where somebody grabs the ball, drops it off the ground, and kicks it in the air. That is called a drop kick. Once the offending team receives the ball and runs with it, they try to run through the defense to score and put the ball down into the try zone. They actually have to touch it down, not just run into the zone, in order to be rewarded 5 points. So you're maybe wondering, how does the offense score? How does the defense stop the offense from scoring? Do new positions come out when they're on offense and defense? Well, the answer is no. There are 15 players to each side that play the entire game unless they're injured. If you're injured, you don't come back in. Someone else comes in for you. Offensively, you can only pass the ball laterally or backwards, nothing forward, because that's a forward pass. Likewise, if you throw the ball at your teammate backwards and it hits off his hands or chest and goes forward or rolls forward, that is a knock-on. Both of those result in a penalty called a scrum down, where the two teams meet together and push each other, trying to stand over the ball and kick it back to their side. You don't want to commit penalties. The way the defense stops the offense from scoring is by tackling them around the waist. If they tackle them higher than the waist or up at the chest, it's a penalty as well, and they have to move back 10 yards and possibly can get a yellow card, which means 10 minutes in the sin bin, which is like a penalty box, or a red card, which means they're out of the game, and the next game. So it's very important to tackle safely with your head up, and they say cheek to cheek, your cheek to his butt cheek, so it's kind of funny. At the tackle, there's a ruck where you go to the ground when you get tackled with the ball, and you face the ball back to your team. Try to get as narrow as you can because you're the gate of the ruck. And the ruck is where you come over. Someone on your team is supposed to come over and protect you and protect the ball so that someone can't just go and pick up the ball. In the ruck, you have to be standing to pick up the ball. Otherwise, it's illegal play. If the offense scores, they get to convert a kick from where they scored. So, for example, if I scored right here, I would have to take the ball and bring it back and kick from here. Same with here, I would bring it right back and kick from there. Any distance that you want to kick it from. That is the gist of the rules. There's lots of small, minute ones that come with playing with the game and watching it, but that is enough to get you through to be able to watch and play the game. Now that you have a good grasp on the history and rules of the game, it's important to know what positions are in this sport and what they all do. So, very simply, there are 7 backs and 8 forwards. Backs are typically smaller, faster guys or girls that are supposed to break the defensive line, and they do the fancy stuff. They try to juke people out and put big passes on and do all these things to break the line. As you can see here, the defense lines up in a flat line. This is the ruck right here where they meet together. This is the offsides line. You have to stand behind the last foot of the ruck. These are the offensive backs. They are staggered like this so that they have room and time to get the ball and make a move with it to break through this line here. This is the fullback. He is number 15, and we will start at 15 and work our way down to 1. 15 is the last man of defense. So if someone breaks through this, he is the last one that has a chance at stopping him, usually trying to cut him off at the sideline. And then it goes 14 and 11. Those are the wings. They go here, and they're usually the last man to get the ball, and quite often the fastest. Next is 13. He's the outside center. And then inside center is 12, and then the fly half. Inside and outside center's main job is to catch the ball and run with it, and match up on defense against the other inside and outside center so that the speed is about the same with the size. It's all about mismatches and advantages in rugby. So if you have a bigger guy running against a smaller guy, odds are it's going to be harder for him to make the tackle, which is what it's all about. 10's job is to distribute the ball. He gets it from the scrum half, which is number 9. 9 is the last back, and he mediates between the forwards and the backs. He gets the ball out of rucks and decides whether to give it to a pod, which is a group of 2 to 3 forwards that's main job is to run it through, or to give it to the backs. That, in essence, is rugby. Thank you for watching. There's much more to be said, but it was a short video. Thank you.